Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the epic story of King Ganapati Deva and the Golden Maritime Era. And honestly, in the entire history of medieval South India, specifically the Deccan Plateau, very few monarchs left a footprint quite as massive or as totally transformative as this guy did. We are talking about a true master architect here, someone who took a deeply divided, totally landlocked region and methodically engineered it into an unstoppable global economic superpower. I mean, the Kakatiya Golden Age didn't just magically happen by accident. It was built brick by brick and wave by wave. So here's the massive question we really need to figure out today, because it's the absolute core of our whole story. How exactly did one visionary ruler, starting from an inland forest capital, solve these massive geographical and economic problems to completely revolutionize medieval global commerce? It wasn't just about fighting battles. It was about shifting an entire civilization's perspective from the dirt beneath their feet to the endless horizon of the sea.
To even begin to grasp the sheer scale of his impact, just look at this timeline. He had a staggering 6-decade reign of stability, stretching from 1199 all the way to 1262 CE. That's 60 years. And this wasn't just a long time sitting comfortably on a throne. He used those 6 decades to systematically unify the entire Telugu-speaking land under a single crown, which is something literally no ruler before him had ever managed to achieve.
All right, let's rewind a bit to the beginning. Act 1 of our story starts with what we can call the inland problem, a kingdom completely surrounded. When Ganapati Deva first took the throne back in 1199 CE, his empire was deeply fractured. And worse, he was boxed in by fierce, hungry rivals. You had the powerful Yadavas pressing in from the western plateaus, the aggressive Pandyas threatening from the deep south, and this chaotic patchwork of rebellious chieftains sitting right between him and the coast. He was trapped.
So what's his solution to being boxed in? Well, it was an absolute masterclass in grand strategy. He didn't just go out swinging a sword blindly. He played a highly sophisticated game of medieval chess. Through some truly brilliant military campaigns, he defeated those rival coastal chieftains. He marched out, secured the critical conning of borderlands, and perhaps most importantly, forged incredibly shrewd marital alliances. Piece by piece, he brought the essential coastal Andhra region and the Deccan Heartlands under one unified command.
Now, with the borders secured, he didn't just kick back and relax. He turned his attention to the dirt, literally. By bringing the incredibly fertile Krishna Godavari Delta under his control, he essentially captured the economic engine of South India. He initiated this massive project to dig extensive reservoirs, which immediately multiplied rice production. That agricultural boom fed a rapidly expanding population, which in turn allowed bustling inland trade routes to completely flourish. He engineered a massive, cascading economic boom from the ground up. But here's the thing about Ganapati Deva. He was a true visionary. He looked at this booming agricultural empire and realized a fundamental truth of geopolitics. Inland wealth is amazing, sure, but it isn't enough to make you a global superpower. That brings us to Act 2, the maritime problem. To build a lasting colossus, he knew he had to look beyond the safety of the delta and find a way to conquer the treacherous, chaotic, and highly lucrative world of international sea trade.
And how he actually solved this is absolutely brilliant. It was a stroke of legal genius. In 1244 CE, he issued the Motupalli Abhaya Sasanam, or the Charter of Safety. He essentially created a 13th century free trade agreement, and he had it carved directly into stone on the Motupalli pillar. It was a physical, permanent guarantee of state protection and reasonable, fixed customs duties for all foreign sea traders, no matter where in the world they came from.
To really put into perspective why this charter changed the world, we have to compare the old sea trade to Ganapati Deva's law. Before this charter, the sea trade was a nightmare. If you're shipwrecked on a foreign shore, the local king would just arbitrarily confiscate your entire cargo. You'd loot everything. But Ganapati Deva, he abolished those arbitrary confiscations and offered real state security with fixed duties. He basically invented state-sponsored free trade in the medieval era. It was a total game changer.
And the international response? Absolutely explosive. The Kakatiya port of Motupalli transformed almost overnight into one of the busiest maritime hubs in the entire Indian Ocean. You had ships sailing in laden with powerful war horses from Arabia, luxurious silk from China, and exotic perfumes from Persia. And they were leaving packed to the absolute brim with rare Deccan spices, and possibly fine muslin cloth, and the ultimate treasure, glittering Kakatiya diamonds. This level of unprecedented prosperity obviously didn't stay a local secret for long. The fame of the Kakatiya maritime empire echoed across continents.
It even caught the attention of the legendary Venetian explorer Marco Polo. When he visited the region, he was just absolutely awestruck. He wrote in his journal about the staggering wealth, genuinely marveling at the delicate fabrics as fine as spiderwebs and diamonds gathered from deep mountain valleys. Ganapati Deva had literally put his empire on the global map.
So he had successfully built this economic colossus that was the envy of the known world. But time comes for all rulers. As his phenomenal 60-year reign drew to a close, we hit Act 4, the legacy problem. Ganapati Deva found himself facing a terrifying, existential political crisis, one that threatened to completely destroy everything he had spent his entire life building. The king was aging, and he had no male heir.
Which brings us to a massive, looming question, one that would have sent shivers down the spine of any citizen back then. Who inherits an empire with no male heir? You have to remember the strict context of the conservative medieval world here. Lacking a male successor didn't just mean a slightly bumpy transition of power. It almost universally guaranteed a vicious, bloody civil war. Rival lords would rise up, external enemies would invade, and the whole Golden Age would just violently collapse.
Faced with the literal destruction of his life's work, Ganapati Deva made a choice that completely shocked the conservative medieval nobility. In a deeply radical visionary move, he didn't choose some distant male relative. He named his own brilliant daughter, Rani Rudrama Devi, as his official successor. And he didn't just name her a figurehead either. He chose her to rule with the full, absolute authority of a king, trusting her implicitly to carry on his monumental legacy.
This incredible gamble secured his legacy in that exact moment, but it leaves us with an absolutely fascinating, high-stakes question to end on today. The wealth of the ocean is flowing in. The treasury is literally overflowing with diamonds and silk, but the old king is gone. How will a newly crowned female ruler, stepping into a fiercely patriarchal world, protect this massive economic superpower from the 3 invading armies already massing at her borders? Talk about an incredible cliffhanger. It just proves history is often way wilder than fiction. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the history you think you know.